So what I've decided to do today is something many people like to know, but they find it difficult. Even me, it took me some time to get a good grasp of it. So hopefully people who join today or who watch the recording, they will be able to understand it, because I found a very easy and straightforward way to explain it. So that will make it easy for people to be able to understand without having to suffer the kind of problem most people have with understanding it. And it's called cash sweep. So what is a cash sweep? Since I'm already on the web, let me just pull out a definition. It's typically a mechanism in which the company, or if you are doing a model, you begin to say excess cash. So also, at least we can see what is here. Where you want to use your free cash, your excess cash, to pay down debt. So if you have debt and you've already structured how it's going to be paid, but then you want to pay it faster so that you don't have to pay as much interest, as you would have if you stuck to the original payment schedule, the debt schedule, then you set up a cash sweep. And some loan covenants, some kind of loans too, will come with the terms of you having a cash sweep embedded. So we are going to build a cash sweep from scratch. Most people try to explain a cash sweep by taking an already built financial model and then now start plugging in the cash sweep. And I find out that it doesn't really help for somebody trying to learn. It adds more complexity to it. So I'm going to do a different approach. I'm going to take it from scratch. So I'm going to open a blank Excel file and then we're going to do the cash sweep. So let me just check if there are, okay, so we are not that many, but nevertheless, I'll continue. So I'm going to start from scratch and we're going to do a cash sweep. So now say this is, let me just zoom. So say this is a company, period that I'm writing here can be months. The period can be months, can be quarterly, can be yearly, so I don't want us to begin to think it only works for one type of period. So I'm just going to call it 1, 2. Again, if there are years, then this could be 2021, 2022, 2020. You get the pattern, right? Let me stop at 10 years anyway. So let me just check that I'm recording, because it will be painful if I find out that I'm not recording. Okay, good. So I can see that I'm recording. And now I've taken the periods, right? So normally what you will have if you have done a financial model, or you already have done some bit of work, you'll find out that, well, the loan that you took, so if we took a loan, let's say we took a loan of 60 million naira. So I'm going to do something to make it easy for us to write those large figures without having to write them actually. So I will say values are in thousands. Okay, so let me make that in italics. Thought I did. Okay, great. So if you take a loan, then your loan value and the breakdown, so let's quickly do that, because that will already exist, right? So I'm just going to do a proper loan schedule. So I'm going to say, okay, opening loan value. So we took a loan of 60 million naira. Okay, so because values are in thousands, so I'm writing 60,000, but they're in millions eventually if you factor what I've written here. I don't want to write too much. Okay, so now originally there will be a principal repayment schedule. It will always be there as part of the loan. You will know it up front. So this one is not something that you have to do mathematics here around. So let's say this is a 6-year loan, or let's say 5-year loan. So if this is a 5-year loan, then obviously it means that you are going to spread the repayment over 5 years. So I'm spreading the repayment over 5 years. Let me just take this format here and just use it to paint all of this. I think that's really nice. Good. So over 5 years. I hope you see my screen. Let me just do a quick check. If you do not see or hear me, please let me know on time so I don't just keep talking and later on finding out that you are not. By the way, does this look like it's using just a small portion of your screen? If that is the case, let's see if I zoom into full screen, if that will make any difference. Okay, I don't know. Do you prefer this? Okay, so I moved this to 5 years, but hopefully hope you see my screen. It's not like you're not seeing what I'm doing. I don't mind getting a feedback. You hear me well, you see my screen well, I should carry on. Alternatively, I have a second screen that I can use.
Yes, it's okay.
It's okay. Huh? If you want, okay. If you say it's okay, I'll carry on with that one then. Okay, so I'm moving on. So I have a principal repayment that, as we all know, will help me to now know what my closing loan, which is the loan net book value, loan value is, right? And so there's something I want to do to make things easy for us. Let's just say when we are repaying the loan, it comes as a minus, right? Okay, and I drag it. In fact, let me use the accounting style formatting so that it looks a lot more like how you would want it to be. And we all know that our closing loan value is going to be equal to the opening minus the repayment, right? Since the repayment is in a minus, then we can just sum the two up, right? And then we know that last year's closing is this year's opening, so that one too is easy to sort out. Okay, so you see I'm building all of this from scratch. Okay, so now this is a loan repayment. This one, naturally you will have it even if you are not building from scratch. It's always baked into every loan that the company has. Okay, so now let's talk about a company without any cash sweep. Okay, so a company without any cash sweep, they will have a net cash flow. So this net cash flow that you have when there is no cash sweep, when you've taken all the cash flow from operations, cash flow from investing, then cash flow from financing, but that cash flow from financing doesn't have any cash sweep baked in. So you already have it. And if it's a project finance, this would be like your cash flow after debt service, not the one available after debt service for debt service. So this one will be like after you've paid the debt service, what you now have. Maybe you've also taken out capex reserve, then you will now have something left that will be the excess cash flow. So you could also call these, depending on what you're building, you could call this excess cash flow. Okay, so I'm just going to put in some figures here because again, these are things you will have already. So the two things we need when we are creating a cash sweep is the loan repayment. So if there are more than one loan, then you have to use all of the loan repayment schedule as I've done here, and then you will need to know what is the excess cash flow, what is the cash flow that is available for you to take some sweep from. Okay, so that's why I don't want us to overcomplicate things by using an existing financial statement. So I want us to build things from scratch so that you will understand the concept well, and then you can always use it. It's not easy, but then this makes it a lot easier to understand from ground up. So I'm just going to plug in some figures and say, let's say our cash, in fact, to save myself stress, I'm just going to use a formula and say rand between. It should get me, I don't know, maybe between, what values would make sense? If we are servicing a loan of, let's say between 30,000 and 30 and let's use round figures. So between 2 and 30. Okay, and then I'm going to multiply by 1000 so that it comes large enough. Okay, so I'm going to just copy this and paste back as values. So I've just simulated the available cash flow for us to now do cash sweep from. So for every cash sweep, there will always be the already set strategy. Are we going to sweep 100% of the excess cash? Are we going to sweep 40%? You know, so there is always a percentage that is going to be there, either explicit or implicit. Implicit could be it's not stated, but it's expected that you sweep all of the available money. You know, and explicit is where they specifically say, you know what, we're going to sweep excess cash flow to sweep. So let's say I'm taking 40%. So if we say we want to sweep 40% of the excess cash flow to quickly pay up the debt. So you see, cash sweep is to repay principal faster, to repay your loans faster anyway. So I'm going to now start the breakdown of the calculation so that you will understand it, you know. So the cash sweep steps, that's what I call this. I'm going to maybe let it have a faint background so that you will understand that this like our steps. So at this juncture, I want to ask, is there anybody, because I've not gone too far, and from here now, everything I'm going to say will not make sense if you don't understand what I'm trying to do or what I have done. Is there anybody who has a question or there's something you want me to quickly clarify before I go on to doing the actual step-by-step breakdown of how you do a cash sweep? Any questions, any concerns, any whatsoever?
Good afternoon.
Okay,
My name is Adiola. Yeah,
all
so I
right.
have a question. Like, how did we get to net cash flow or excess cash flow?
Good. So in, let me see if I can just open for you a financial model. Okay, so let me use this one. Okay. All right. So you see, in every financial model, right, there is no way you will, even in every financial statement, it's just that when you are building cash sweep, you are building it forward looking, so it's not backward looking. A financial statement can just only be historical, so that's why I'm using financial models. Financial models kind of go also into the future, so that's why cash sweep is much more relevant for future, you know, because you are planning it ahead. So now in every financial model, so tell me if you agree, there will always be an income statement. So Adiola, do you agree with that? There will always be an income statement.
Yes, I do.
Great. There will always be a balance sheet, right? Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Great. And there will always be a cash flow statement. Then in the cash flow statement, you have the net cash flow. So this is already there. So every financial model will have,
okay.
right? So now this financial model does not have a cash sweep. Now, I don't know if you are here when I was talking about the definition of cash sweep. I think we even went online to even Google that. You see that it's not me picking it up. You know. So cash sweep refers to you using your excess cash to pay down debt. And if you think about it, what is a company's excess cash? That is the cash, net cash flow. That's what you have after you've settled all of the things that are necessary to settle within your operations and investing and financing, right? So this is the equivalent of our excess cash flow in this case, you know. If it's a project finance, then it will be again maybe cash flow available for distribution, you know, cash flow that are supposed to go to the equity owners. Then you say, okay, before we give the equity owners, let us first of all try to repay faster our outstanding debt. So back to answering your question, the answer is that it's going to be there already. You will have it. I don't want us to take an existing income state financial model, because it will start bringing in more variables that will make the explanation a bit confusing. So that's why I'm saying you will always have this already. So let me make this color, what now, maybe this kind of color. Then also too, you will have this. So these are the information that you will already have. You will have the structure of the loans that exist on your books. You will have what the net cash flow is. So now we want to say, okay, this company has decided to pay down their debt faster. They want to do a cash sweep. And they have decided that they're going to sweep 40% of excess cash or net cash flow, to repay the debt, quicker, right? So are we clear up to this stage? Adiola, is this?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Any
we
other
are.
person who has concerns? Because right now, everything I want to do will be on the basis of you have understood all that has happened up to until now. So I can carry on, right? Okay, so I am carrying on. So now let's think about the process of the cash sweep. And you'll find out that it's very straightforward if you try to first of all break them down instead of trying to do everything all together in one formula. So number one thing is, what's based on this percentage that we have, the company has committed to, then what is going to be the required, let me check my time. I hope I'm not over talking. Okay, I think I'm still within time. Required cash flow, let me abbreviate that. Required cash flow, sorry, what's the required cash sweep? So what is the required cash sweep amount? So what is the required cash sweep amount? Based on this 40% of this, then that means we are saying we want to use whatever excess cash we have, 40% of it, we want to use it to pay down our debt faster, right? So this is it. So think about it, this times this, right? Maybe later on, I will put the formulas. Maybe I should even do it now. So let me just insert a new column. Let me take out all these colors. No fill. Then, as we know, there's a formula in Excel that lets me show the formulas that are beneath the figures that you are seeing. So I'm just going to drag it up to here. I will knock off all the things that do not have formulas. Okay, so that we will understand clearly what it is that we are looking at. Let me just reduce the spacing. So this will be the money that we are required to sweep to repay down debt faster, right? Good. Now the thing is, what if we have a negative cash flow, which is possible? You can have a negative cash flow as a company. What that means is you will have to dip into your previous cash that you have existing. So if we have a negative cash flow, let's say we spend way more than what we made that year. So maybe we have minus 9,000. So instead of this 9,000, we had a negative 9,000. Now you see that this is making it look as if we will go and take money away from our loan. Are you getting it? It's making it look like when you have a negative cash flow, which means you don't have any excess cash, this thing still wants to go and take money out of loan, right? Maybe you want to make it look as if you are short paying your principal. So we need to fix that. It's not supposed to be. So we need to ensure that it's never negative. Ensure that it's never negative. So now there are two major formulas we use for setting up like a ceiling and a floor. If I want to seal something, you want to set up a ceiling. that something will never go above a particular figure. This could be maybe what's a good example of a ceiling now. So in okay, not to say too much, let's just say there are some transactions that you do and the processor tells you that they are going to charge you. So an example of a ceiling, they say they're going to charge you 1% or 500 naira, right? But never above 500 naira. Are you seeing that they have done the ceiling on how much they are going to charge you? So that's what we mean by a ceiling. Okay, so let me just, then what about a floor? A floor is, oh, you know, maybe the same thing. We're going to charge you 1% of 500 naira, but never below. So the floor becomes 500 naira, right? So you will know that they will never charge you below 500 naira. So whenever you have this kind of situation, the formulas that you use in Excel to easily do this is max and min. But you know what? You flip them. Ordinarily, you think ceiling means maximum, right? No, when you are interpreting it, for ceiling, you are going to use min. And for floor, which you think, oh, floor means minimum now. But then when you're implementing it is max. So just remember to think about what you want to do, then flip these formulas, and that's how you achieve it. So let me demonstrate, right? Let me just drag this one here, drag this to here. And then let's talk about the charges. So say the transactions you have done. The transactions you have done are, well, I'm just going to be writing 500, 300 naira, 20,000, 5,000, maybe 1,000, you know, maybe then 10,000. So if we are talking about ceiling and we say they are not going to charge you above 500 naira, right? You know what that means is if I take 1%, this times 1%. So this comes to 3 naira. And if I drag it, I think my values are too small. So let me pad the values. Let's make some really large so that we have a situation where some are really above. Then maybe this one will be exactly 500. Okay, great. So we now have a mixture based on ceiling, right? Based on what I've told you, if you are setting a ceiling, a maximum amount, use min. All you just do is you say, you know what, wrap what you have done in a minimum formula and say, comma, what is the minimum? The minimum is 500. So we are going to charge you not more than 500 naira, right? No. Ceiling. Let me recap. What I'm doing is correct, but my explanation is, it looks like I've got it twisted. We said we are going to charge you 1% or 500 naira, but never above 500 naira, right? So that means when I've done the calculation, I wrap it in min and say it will never be above 500 naira. Clear? Boom. And if I drag this, you will see that we will not have any place where you are paying more than 500 naira. But then let's think about the floor. So if it's a floor, again, normally don't worry, just do the calculation. This times 1%, right? But then now that we know that it's a floor, which means, or let me recap, we know that there's a minimum money. The agency has said they will never charge less than 500 naira. So it's always at least 500 naira, but it can be above 500 naira, but never below 500. That means they've set a floor. It will never go below that floor amount. And I've told us that in that case, we are using max, right? We are using max. So max, comma, the 500 naira that it must never be below of. Okay, and you will see that we are going to achieve exactly what I've said. No amount will be less than 500 naira. And where it's more than 500 naira, you will be charged exactly whatever it is. Okay, is that making sense? So I've established for us now that when it comes to, you want to set a floor, you use max. You want to set a ceiling, something like the money should not go above, you use a min. So I want to ask us a question. If you say you want to ensure that something is never negative, are we not saying that we want to set a floor? It must never fall below 0, right? So can you tell me what we are going to use? Can you tell me what we're going to use? If you want to drop it in the chat box, or you want to unmute and say it would be nice to hear. So what do you think we are going to use? I don't want it to be negative, which means I don't want it to go below 0, right? What will I use? Am I going to use min? Am I going to use max? Can I hear someone volunteer?
Yes, I think we are going to use max.
I'm going to use max. You are correct, because I'm trying to create a floor. I don't want it to go below 0. Okay, so exactly what you've said is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say max, right? This calculation, comma 0. You know, whatever amount here, comma 0, so that it will never go below 0. And you will see that it is correctly doing it. So when we have negative, when we don't have any excess cash, when we have negative cash flow, it is not going to try to do any cash sweep. We don't have money to use to do cash sweep. That's what that means, right? So now that you've understood that, I can delete all this, my explanation, or let me just drag it in case somebody would like to have it another day. Let me just drag it somewhere else. Let me drag it way down. Okay, good. So now we have fixed one problem, but that is not all there is to fix. So that's why I said there are steps. So now imagine that you are sweeping this amount, right? Can you tell me one problem we are seeing? See, our loan is a 5-year loan, right? Can you see our cash sweep? Can you tell me what problem is there that we need to fix? Our loan is a 5-year loan, and we are sweeping extra cash to pay it faster. And our cash sweep, the amount we are sweeping, this is the amount. Let me even drag more. This is at the amounts we are sweeping. Can you tell me something? Are you noticing something wrong? Is anybody noticing something wrong? Can I get some opinions? Okay, Chibuzo too was saying max also. Yes. What's the issue that we are having? Can you try to tell me? You can unmute and speak.
Okay, I think to repay the debt, it takes longer years than 5 years to repay the debt.
You are saying some things I'm expecting, but Chibuzo is saying it better in the way. So Chibuzo is saying the timing. There is a timing problem. Our loan is 5 years loan. Our cash sweep is doing as if we'll keep sweeping cash forever for that money, right? So our cash sweep should not still be happening after we have finished paying the loan, right? So we need to do something on our formula. So I think it's also what you are saying too. So I'm happy that we are following very well. Victor even said it nicer. He said cash sweep still sweeping after repayment of loans. So now let's go and fix that one. So we are going to say ensure that we don't pay more than the loan, or should I say outstanding loan. We don't pay more than the outstanding loan. Okay, so how are we going to do that? How am I going to ensure that I don't pay more than the outstanding loan? Think about it. If I don't want to pay more than the outstanding loan, now what is the outstanding loan? The outstanding loan is this. Anytime, every year, what you have outstanding is your closing loan value, right? So what we are saying is this. I'm going to compare how much I have to pay, by this our cash sweep and logic. I have to pay. Let me turn this back to a positive number so that I can be using this. So my formula is saying this year I need to sweep 3,000, 3.6 million and use it to pay down the debt, right? And like that, right? But then there's a problem here. It's telling me that I still need to pay 2,000, whereas I know I don't have any more outstanding loan, right? So this is our outstanding loan. If you think about this, our outstanding loan, right? So I need to do a formula that we say you should always compare this my outstanding loan and what I have as the portion of my cash, excess cash flow to sweep, and ensure that I don't pay more than the outstanding loan. So think about it. Is this a ceiling or a floor? I don't want to pay more than the outstanding loan. What do you think? I don't want to pay more than the outstanding loan. Is that a ceiling or a floor? I'm waiting for also the guys in the house who are listening and watching and all.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I think it's a ceiling.
It's a ceiling. So when we say ceiling, what do we say we use for ceiling?
Mean.
Awesome. So you are all following me nicely. So mean, which means I don't want to pay more than, so between this that we have computed and what we have as outstanding, I don't want to pay more than that. So if I do this, you will find out that it's going to take care of the timing problem. Don't mind this. There is something funny about the way circular reference. This is one of the glitches with circular referencing. So let me just, okay, great. Let me tell you what happened. When you turn on circular reference, sometimes it doesn't detect empty as 0. So, this is actually 0, but when it's empty, it doesn't really detect it, which is, I don't know why. So if you just drag this here, you will see it will work nicely. Okay, so maybe let me just leave it at now that you understand. So you see that fixes our timing problem, right? So we have fixed our timing problem, which means we are not sweeping any more money to pay down the loan when we don't have any outstanding loan. But then there is still like one last thing to do, which is not a major step, but because if you remember, I have been following the rule where when we are repaying principal, I capture it as negative, right? Because this saves you problem. If you want to troubleshoot, it will be faster. So you will know is it that your minuses are wrong or your signs are wrong. So I like to keep things in the direction of cash. So I'm going to say, make it show the cash sweep. Let me just write show in the direction of cash so that I don't write something that looks too long. In the direction of cash, which means it's going to be a negative movement. Okay. By the way, let me drag all this so at least you will see what we've typed there so far. So if I'm showing it in direction of cash, it means I'm making it negative, right? So that we'll see that it is actually a drawdown on our cash. Okay. So great. So let me just. And this is it. So these are the steps. This is technically this is the end of it, but there's going to be, when you have repaid some of your principal, then it has to show in your outstanding. So your outstanding is no longer going to be 48. Your outstanding is now going to be like 48, down a bit by whatever you have paid here. So we need to remake we need to redo the debt schedule to now include the cash sweep. Let me just write cash sweep as this because I don't have space anymore. So to include the cash sweep, okay? Hope you understand. CS means cash sweep. So let me write it here, CS. So that anytime you see me write cash sweep, CS, you know it's cash sweep. So I'm going to redo all of this, right? So redoing all of this is I can simply just copy all these lines. Copy all of these lines. Pastes. I don't need the background. Okay. So before my closing, I will put in the cash sweep. So this, I want us to pay some attention to it. So I'm going to make it bold because I want it to stand out. We're going to now combine all these steps, We're going to combine it into one formula. Now that you understand the steps, so when I'm doing the one formula, well, you should still understand it, or if you don't understand it, at least you understand what left to it. It will just be a case of you patiently working through what I have done. So the opening loan, all of what we have here is still going to look similar. So opening loan is still the 60K, which 60 million, which we could have gone to link, but because I don't want you to think that I'm picking anything, I want to just redo it anyway. So let's use that. The principal that we have agreed to pay based on the terms of the loan is 5 years of that loan amount. Spread over 5 years, spread over 5 years. So let me just spread it over 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to do the cash sweep now. So, but before I do the cash sweep, I need to redo what I said, that I like to keep things in the direction of the cash. Okay, so we're going to do this cash sweep, but let me fix all of the formulas all at once so that you see the effect. So closing is always opening plus principal repayment, and now plus whatever you have swept to repay the outstanding loan. So that will now give us what is the real outstanding loan when you have a cash sweep. So when cash sweep is 0, you will see that pretty much everything looks similar to number 1. So everything starts to look kind of the same. I drag this here. Okay. So you see that it looks very much like what we have here. So here and here, what did I do now? Here, oh my God. Okay, so here and here, you see they're looking alike. They are looking, wow, they are looking alike. There's no cash sweep. So we're going to adjust it now, okay? So let me check my time. Okay, I think I'm still right on dot of time. I'm going to take all of these 1, 2, 3, 4 steps and do it all here at once, okay? So let's think about it. Step number 1 is that I am calculating what is the actual cash sweep we need. So step number 1 is this money, that is the excess cash, times the percentage we want to sweep, okay? So that is step number 1. Then we said we are supposed to floor it, never let it go below 0, right? So that flooring it is when we did a max and said it should never be below 0. So that's step number 2, right? Now, step number 3 is that we don't want to pay more than the outstanding loan, right? So what did we do? We did a mean and say, okay, all of this money, comma the outstanding loan. So now this is where there's going to be a bit of how we're going to calculate the outstanding loan in this case. This other place, I picked the outstanding loan directly as here, but in this case, you will just have to minus it out here. So I'm just going to say, which is not going to be a minus anymore since they are in the same sign. I'll just say this plus this. So this gets us what we have outstanding before the cash sweep, right? So that's our step number 3, okay? Then I close the mean stuff. And then step number 4 is that we want it to be in the direction of the cash. I want it to be in the direction of the cash, so I put a minus, and that is it. So you see we get the 3,600, right, or 3.6 million. But the good thing now, the realistic thing is, it is no longer saying 48 million is outstanding. Now it knows that we have paid down an extra 3.6 million, to reduce our loan. So the new closing is this. Okay, so now I can drag this all the way to wherever it's supposed to get to. And like magic, it looks done. So that's why I tell us that cash sweep is not really that difficult. It's because many times when people are explaining it, they are explaining it in an already complex environment. You've done a cash flow, a financial model. Financial model already is something that is a big deal. Then you're now explaining how you put a cash sweep into something that is already made, and then you now start linking it back to balance sheet. People just get confused. But now, if you think about it in isolation, like as I've done, you see that it's no more than 4 simple steps that to make our model elegant or to make it easy to read, we combine into one giant. It's not even really a giant formula. We combine into one formula, right? And then this now shows us that, okay, great, we are able to pay down our, is this thing correct? Let's see. Something is looking weird. Okay, you will notice that it's still not, something is off, right? Let me ask you, what is looking off? Can somebody volunteer? What is looking off? Okay, Victor even has noticed it. So what is looking like not working there? So that we'll fix it together. I know it, I've seen it. Chibuzo is saying timing of cash sweep. I'm not going to give that one to you now because that timing is looking like a catch-all word. No, give me something more specific. Anybody wants to take a guess? What is wrong? If you can try and tell me, in very direct term, what is wrong?
What is the problem after doing that?
I didn't get it.
The positive principal payment is still on the
Also, the principal payment has gone up, has gone like way above the period, right? So, by the way, let me redo the cash sweep. I think I didn't do the cash sweep correctly. Let me just redo this one. Okay, so I want to redo the cash sweep. But what you said is correct about the principal. So I'm redoing the cash sweep. This is an opportunity for anybody who missed it too. I think I skipped one step. I skipped, it must not be negative or something. I think I skipped one. Anyway, let's do it again. It's going to be equal to this times this. So I'm going to lock that. Okay. So that's step 1. Then we said this step 1. I wrap it in a max, okay, and say it must never be less than 0, okay, so that captures step 2. Then again, all of this, I wrap it in a min and say it must never be above the outstanding loan. So it must never be above the outstanding loan. The outstanding loan is this and whatever you have repaid already. So, but because of the sign, I'm going to just put plus, okay? And let me just check that. Okay, great. And then that it must come as a minus. Okay, so let me just quickly see. Why is it coming as a plus here? Okay, yeah, it's correct then. So the problem is that what you mentioned, yeah? So the principal amount needs to, you don't want to pay just because originally the structure is to pay 12 million every period or every year, right? Doesn't mean now that you have a cash sweep. So when you have a cash sweep, the idea is to pay it faster. So that means you might end up paying it in 4 years instead of 5 years. Our model is still working as if you must keep paying 12 million. So you see you'll be overpaying for principal because you're already paying this, which is 60 million, which equals this, and you're still paying more again as cash sweep. So we need to adjust our principal payment. That our principal payment must never be, let's think about it, it must never be more than the outstanding amount. It must never be more than the closing value, what we have left. So think, for instance, here where the loan remained just 7.6 million, that should be what we should have paid, right? Not that we'll now go and pay more than that. not that we're going to pay 12 million again, right? Is that clear? Am I making sense? We should have paid exactly this 7.6. Yeah. So what are we going to do to our formula? You've been answering very well before now. So should I do this one, or should I throw it open to the house? That what do I need to do to ensure that we do not pay above the outstanding loan? What formula will I use? Or first of all, am I going to do a ceiling or a floor? I don't want to pay. For this principle, we need to make it intelligent to not pay more than what is outstanding, to not pay more than what is the closing value of the last period. Let's use that word. Okay. What do you think we're going to do? Anybody wants to volunteer? So let's break it down. Am I going to set a ceiling or a floor? I don't want to pay more than, for my principal repayment, I must not pay. You can see there's a problem here. Let me highlight the problem for us. So if I highlight this in, that's too thick. Let me highlight it in this. So if I highlight this too, you'll see there's a problem. We have 7.6 million outstanding, which is equal to our opening value, right? So maybe I should even not stress myself. Let's even compare the opening. What we have outstanding is this. Then why, for God's sake, are we paying 12 million when what we have outstanding is 7.6? So think about it that way. What am I going to do? Am I going to set a ceiling or a floor? Anybody? Let me check the chat, see if anybody has dropped anything in the chat. Okay, so it's a ceiling.
Ceiling.
Yeah, so we're going to set a ceiling. What do we use to set a ceiling? Mean.
10,000.
So I'm going to come in here, and before I put the minus, I'm going to say that I want to set a mean that we ensure that we do not pay more than the opening amount, more than what we have outstanding, right? And that should fix it. So if I drag this, voila, you see that was the only piece that was missing in our computation. So everything is working as should be. So we have actually adjusted two things then. So let's say we have adjusted this. Let me give it a different color. We have adjusted this. No, yellow, we make it look as if. So we have adjusted this. This is obviously a calculation. Okay. And well, this one, I won't call it so much of an adjustment because it's always summing everything. So ultimately, these are the two things that you begin to adjust differently than when you look at your standard and debt schedule. Okay, the principal has to be intelligent enough. Let me drag this down here. The principal has to be intelligent enough to know that you must not overpay. Okay. Yeah. Intelligent enough to know you should not overpay. So we have to do a ceiling. Don't pay more than what we have outstanding. And then the cash sweep too has to meet all of this. So I don't want to re-say them, but you are here when we were going through them step by step. And those are the two adjustments that factors in your cash sweep. And you know, in a real life model, you will now be like, okay, all of our, this will now adjust your cash flow. Naturally, this will now feed back into your cash flow from financing. You know, you will now be like, you are adding the cash sweep, or which will be subtracting, but because we are following the cash direction, let me just say including, so you don't think adding means it must be positive, including the cash sweep. So once you do that, you know, your net cash flow will automatically take it. But since we don't have all of that laid out here, I can just say, okay, my true net cash flow. Okay, I can do it. So that at least you get both words. So I can call it delta change. So there's going to be a change in our cash sweep. How do you, let me go to symbol and add a delta like a triangle anyway. Sorry, I'm a science student by background, so a transparent something like this. This will do. Okay, cash flow from, so this will affect our cash flow from financing. So it will show as if we are paid more than when you didn't have a cash sweep, right? So when you factor that in, you will now have your true final net cash flow, which instantly, if we look at what we have before, is just the original net cash flow, then, you know, factoring what additional money you swept. But also too, it will have to capture your interest. So which I don't even have the interest here. You know, your interest will also change. So let's just leave that for now so that I don't tell you something that is completely wrong. Okay, so is this clear? At this juncture, did you get it? Let me just ask, up until here, all we did here, did you get them? That's what is important, because that's what relates to the cash sweep. You know, all that is left is taking it back to where they should feed into. So are we clear with what I've demonstrated? Any questions? I think we have 7 minutes to handle questions. Any questions?
Hello.
Save this. Maybe I should send us this, right?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I joined a little bit late.
Hey, Mr. Frank.
Sir.
That's your voice. It's a pleasure. I'm happy to even speak.
Thank you. I joined a little bit late, so I'm a little bit confused, sort of, because I've not had this part of it. The other time I did the financial modeling, there was no
cash.
Yeah, no cash sweep. So I think I understand a little of it on this part, but the other part before it was what, before I came in, I didn't follow.
Okay, what we have, thank God you understood the concluding part, which is where most of the work is. There's going to be I recorded it, so I'm going to, by tomorrow, the recording should be out naturally, because we edit it to cut out things that, to cut out whatever is not necessary inside, so that people watching the recording will have better use of their time. So hopefully by tomorrow, since I have your details now, WhatsApp you the link, so you can just watch the beginning part that you missed.
No problem. Another question I wanted to ask is relating to the financial modeling. Okay, when we were building it the other time, we were looking at a situation where maybe like the end of the period, building from the end of the period. I don't know if you get me. You understand? Now, like the end of the period, is it possible for us to have it like maybe the business is running now? Like today, I did like a cash sale, maybe like using my own business, for instance.
Yes, sir.
Maybe today I had some transactions that came in, cash came in, there was outflow, there was inflow. And then at the end of the day, can I factor in that part into my modeling so that I can get a report for the day? Is it possible?
And this is like every day the sales you make?
Yes, something like that.
No, this one will go into like you creating a trial balance kind of stuff. So that one will be like you just that, because I can't show you our live QuickBooks. So our QuickBooks is kind of set up like that. At the moment you are entering in the data into the QuickBooks, it is automatically positioning them in in the category of accounts they should be, and automatically go into trial balance, automatically going into income statement, and anything that maybe you buy that is asset to go into balance sheet. So that is the one. So in at a point, I think we created an Excel internally to mimic it, but it was too much of a work. So we abandoned it internally because somebody has to be filling it. But the QuickBook was easier for people to fill. People who didn't have the knowledge, like my staff, who are not too financially statement inclined. So, but for what you've described now, it would be, if I'm doing it in Excel, it will be me creating like an expense and income kind of so like a sales journal or something that we are able to keep record of the sales, and as I'm keeping them in there, it is flowing directly into my trial balance, flowing directly into the things that will enter into my income statement. But that one is not financial model. It won't flow, except it won't, except if you link your income statement and your financial statement directly with a financial model, that it will flow there.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? I'm trying to see if I can quickly upload it before the session ends, so that I can give us the link, because these days, anytime I say I will send you link, I used to forget, and sometimes I'll forget for weeks. So it's better I just upload and send to you right within the session. Any other questions? Let me just check the chat box. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Victor. Any other questions? Let me just see who are those in the house. Oh, today we got a good amount of participants. Let me quickly just send myself the copy that will go to the other computer that has the upload tool, so I can upload and share the link. Why is this thing just taking time? Any questions in the meantime? Or anybody wants to give a comment? It doesn't have to be a question. They might just want to maybe add some things, comment, suggestion, or even things outside the scope of what I've done anyway. Or can somebody just say something? Why is this thing rolling? Wow. Okay, I think that one is done. Okay, so anyway, once I send us this, then that will be it. We would have to end the session. Can't believe this. What is it loading? Let me try my mail. I'm streaming. The streaming is working fine. It's the Google that is now loading, which is funny. Okay, finally it has come up. So I'm going to email it to myself so that I can pull it up from that other one. So by the way, I can do small advertisement now. At 4 p.m. we have another session where let me show you the persons will be. So we have two more sessions. One is going to be a repeat session. So those of you who are into Power BI, let me quickly just show you the other sessions that we have and how you can partake. Cash sweep doc. And it might be it's the computer that is slow and not the internet. I can feel it. I think the whole streaming is taking a toll on the Mac. Where did I save it? Where did I save it? I think I saved it here. I think I saved it actually. Yeah, this is it. So by the way, you'll see the folder I saved it is in our financial modeling. So we do financial modeling training. So instantly this becomes part of the content we give the participants. And so if you are interested in learning financial modeling, please come and learn from us so that we'll be in business and be able to keep doing these free webinars. So let me pick it up from the other system. And while I'm picking it up, I can show you the sessions that we have coming up next. So if you go here, well, that one is still loading. Let me just try and upload and share the link of the file. Where is my Gmail? I think I sent it to my mic. Awesome. Let me just pick it up. Yes, I can see it. I'll just download it and upload it and share the link. Sorry, it's taking longer than expected. It's all, in this case, it's technology that is it's like I'm driving all the machines at their extreme end. So we have Victor Momo doing part 2 of that. Is very popular. In fact, we broke all records in this webinar series. When he did his part 1, we had like 80-something people join, and it was like the highest. Even when we bring in foreigners, we didn't get this much interest. So you'll be doing the concluding part today. So I hope you don't miss it. Let me just quickly give you the link. So it's going to be 4 p.m. That's like 1 hour from now. Let me share with you the link. The link chat. So while that one is opening, let me ensure the multitasking here. Any question or anybody wants to say something? Because right now I'm just doing time filler or what they call post filler. I'm just saying things.
Hello, sir. Question, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, my question is, how are we going to manage the circular referencing that will be coming up on the cash flow?
Awesome. Great one. You will see that in my own case, it kind of worked because I do financial modeling almost all the time. My system is almost permanently set to enable iterative calculation. So if you didn't ask, I probably would. I didn't even remember actually. So I'm going to quickly answer that. That's a very nice one. If you do not turn on iterative calculation, what I did, you will not be able to complete it because your Excel too is going to complain and says there's circular referencing and your cash sweep will not work correctly. So in fact, God bless you, sir, for that question. I'm going to answer it right now. Any other question?
Also, to add to the answer that you are going to provide for us, what's the effect of that iteration on the setting or the likes? What's the effect? If I should put it on, what effect will I have on my Excel? If I should put it off, what effect will I have? I want you to add to it.
Okay,
that one clearer.
Okay, I think that one I can even answer that one faster. I mean that one now. So the effect is actually that iterative calculation is turned off. That's what I think. I think it's turned off by default by Microsoft because when you do formulas that is referencing what is giving the formula, most times it's an error. It's not deliberate. It's something that you don't want. So when it is turned off, it lets you know that you've done something wrong. And like I said, most times, it is actually an error that it is good that you are being aware of it. And then you can say, oh, I've included the output cell in the input cell. I'll show you an example. So I'm pasting the link now. So with that, I can be able to concentrate. Okay, great. And by the way, this morning, which we'll repeat again this evening, we had a legend. We had a legend teach us on Power BI, and it was I was taking notes because there were so many things he was saying that I saw that me too have been having problems with, and so I want people to be aware that we're going to rebroadcast it at 6 p.m. I'm just going to share the link for you to get it later. So now that I've shared the link of the session, let me go and open the file and answer the questions. So I'm going to open the file that we just used. Okay, so question number 1, part 1 of the question. By default, if you go to your, so Mac is a bit different, huh? I even hope I remember where it is. I think it's preference, not here actually. Preference. But for Windows, if you go to File and you go to Formula, you will see iterative calculation. So I think at this junction, this is where I better just go to where I'm used to and where everybody is used to. Let me just share my Windows screen and then we go to that one so I don't suffer unnecessarily. So let me go to Windows and open Excel. Okay. So if you open Excel, let me open that particular file. This is it. Apologies that now it's looking like I'm taking too much time on just something that should be trivial to do, but I don't want to forget sending you the file. So if I go to File and I go to Options, right? Let me check that you can see my screen. Okay, great, you can see my screen. If I go to Formulas, you will see that that's where we have that iterative calculation setting. So you'll see that I have it here, and mine is turned to on. But the problem is this: if it is off, which is both a problem and has a reason for why. If you turn it off, Excel will complain and say there are secular. You can see it's already saying there are secular references in my Excel sheet, some formulas as referring to themselves all over again, right? So you'll find out that my stuff, when I'm creating it, will not even work. When you are creating this, it will not work. It will just be showing you those circular referencing. I want to show you, it will come up now. Funny. Let me do it for the first one then. Let me do it. Which one will make sense? This one will make sense. Okay, I'm going to delete and try to drag. Because I've done it, so the error is not popping up the way I'm expecting. Okay, not to waste too much time. If I didn't turn on circular referencing, you're going to get, there is one kind of error that normally shows. Let me see if it has shown in any other one I have. It's not coming up and I don't have too much time. So it won't work anyway until you go to File, you go to Options, you go to Formulas, and then you enable iterative calculation. That is when all these, especially this cache sweep, that's when it will work, because this cache sweep is referencing things that are actually depending on themselves again, you know. So yeah, so that's that one. Then number 2 is what's the consequence? The consequence is this. Let me switch back to this one since that one is dragging. Let me switch back to my Mac and then I can explain the consequence from here. So the consequence of you turning on iterative calculation is that there will be times that there is a problem. Oh, by the way, what I was looking for, this is it. It was staring me in the eyes and I didn't see it. Calculation. So in Mac, this is what I was actually looking for, which is funny, but I was already there and I didn't notice. Okay, so if I turn it off, this is normal Excel. I'm opening a new sheet. So this is normal Excel. If you do 20, you type 20 somewhere, 20, 30, 50, or 40, and you are doing a formula like sum, and your sum is now equal to this, right? It works, right? But then now you come here, you change this one, and you say this one is equal to this one here. You see, you are beginning, this is what we call circular referencing. You are going in loop, like this is, which is an input to that one. You're now making it equal to, see, Excel will say there's, you can see it popped up just now. Popped up, wow, popped up just now. Let me just do it again. You can see, so it's complaining that there is a circular referencing, and this is the normal way of Excel, and it is good because it might be an error. Like for me, what used to happen is this. Let me tell you where my own error used to come from. My own error used to come from, let me turn this back to 20. There are many times that I'm doing this and I mistakenly do this instead of, so I'm doing the formula sum and I do it up to here. I included the thing, the cell that the answer should be in inside the calculation. I do it a lot. I don't know why, but I notice I've been doing it a lot. So circular referencing will draw my attention to it. But if you don't have circular referencing, by default, when iterative calculation is disabled, then it will trigger that notification that there is a circular reference, and which will help you to know that you've done something that is wrong. But when you have now gone to disable it, then you will no longer get that benefit. So that means that's why they make it a user dependent, that you are the one who will go there and by your hand say you want it to be on, because the moment you on it, then it will not come as an error, and whatever you see, you take it. You can see it's saying 9,000, and we all know this is not 90,000 or whatever it's saying. You see, so that's why sometimes maybe turning it on by default is not good, because some cases that are errors you will not know. So it's better if you turn it off, then you use only on a case by case. When you need to use it is when you use it. So that's my own attempt at an answer. At this juncture, I need to end this session. So thank you very, very much. I hope today's session has been really exciting and informative. I hope to see us next week. And I was telling us about the one that we did today, which was on Power BI. We're going to rebroadcast it again by 6 p.m. So you will want, let me give you the link of the session for you to watch the rebroadcast.
Please, I want.
It's a session that if you use Power BI or you are interested in Power BI, I don't want you to miss it. I tell you that I was taking notes, not that I plan to take notes, but there was so much of value that I was like, I don't want to forget these things, and I brought out my book and I started taking notes. So that's how much I found it valuable, and I think you will also find it valuable. So watch the rebroadcast at 6 p.m. via this link. So just go to this link at 6 p.m. And I already told us the one for the Excel, where Victor is going to be concluding on some products, right? So I've already shared the link, but in case you want the direct joining link, let me also give us the direct joining link. And with that, we close today's session. So the Excel, some products session at 4 p.m. Joining link is So thank you very much. I'm really happy that we got a lot of people joining today. I'm proud of myself now. At least now I'm beginning to pull the same amount of crowd we pull when we get external guests. So this is a good thing. So thank you very much, and see you at 4 p.m. if you're interested in the Excel. See you next week if it's Power BI. If it's financial modeling you want to join next week. So bye, and have a nice rest of the day.